For getting us up to speed there. Let me now bring in federal attorney Kelly Hyman to talk with me more about this case. Kelly, good morning to you. Just, from what you've learned, from Xavier's reporting just there, which side started out stronger, in your opinion, yesterday?
Both sides came out very strong. From the prosecution standpoint, they have the burden and they have to prove every single elements of the case, but they laid out the groundwork, they laid out that foundation to tell their story. And their story is what happened was senseless, that this young kid died. And in fact, the defendant wasn't in fact defending himself. From the defense standpoint, they told a different story of a young boy, an A student, the defendant, who is 180 pounds, 5'8", and was there at the track meet and used the knife in order to protect himself, that he was concerned and was fearful about his own safety as well, and that the person that was stabbed was 6'1", Austin, a football player, 215 pounds, and that he was concerned for his own safety.
I'm curious, though, how the defense is going to legally justify pulling out a knife and stabbing somebody who was unarmed. I mean, what's the defense's best shot at winning this?
It's reasonable doubt from the jury. So the prosecution has the burden to prove not only the fact that it was a killing, but it was unjustified. So once the defendants lay out that, in fact, that it was self-defense, and there is a statement by the defendant saying afterwards, I was protecting myself, that goes to his defense. Now the prosecution has the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that his actions were in fact unjustified. And it's interesting to note, in Texas there are 12 jurors, but it only takes one juror to say that they do not believe that the state has proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt, and there is a mistrial.
Yeah. Talk to me about the prosecution. The lead prosecutor led with this surveillance video yesterday. And again, cameras not allowed in the courtroom, so we just have these sketches to go off. But that lead prosecutor said, this video tells the story. And it apparently shows Anthony entering that track, that team tent from behind. I'm curious, from your point of view, does that not cut against a self-defense narrative? And how powerful is that video going to be?
The video is definitely key, because whenever you have evidence of what exactly happened, it's definitely going to be key. But we also have to remember that there was eyewitnesses there as well that saw it firsthand, and so they are going to see exactly what happened. But the prosecution went very slowly to show the video to kind of lay out exactly what happened. Now, from the defense standpoint, it doesn't tell the whole picture of what exactly happened. It'll be interesting to see in this case, in fact, if the defendant testified, because in a lot of cases where you're asserting self-defense, that the jurors want to hear from the defendant.
If he were your client, would you tell him to do that?
I would talk with him. Now, ultimately, I can advise him whether or not to take the witness stand. It would depend on preparation and how he does, and if he comes across as meaningful, he comes across as being credible, he comes across as being sincere, then I would suggest to him to testify. But in fact, ultimately, it's going to be the client, the defendant's decision. And then if he does, in fact, testify, that gives the prosecution an opening to start asking him questions.
Yeah. I just have a few more seconds left, but there's been staunch criticism just of the makeup of this jury. There's not a single person of color on it. Is that an issue, and is that grounds for appeal?
It's definitely going to potentially be grounds for appeal if, in fact, he is convicted. From the defendant's standpoint, absolutely. Under the Constitution, you're allowed the jurors of your peers. But that makeup is usually by the community itself. Now, defendants assert that the prosecution excluded these people based on their race. However, from the prosecution, they say their decision of the 3 African-American teachers was not race-based. It was, in fact, that they were teachers, and this happened in a school environment, and they didn't want teachers. Ultimately, the judge agreed with the prosecution that it was race neutral to have the 3 African-American women not on the jury. But ultimately, we'll see how that potentially plays out if, in fact, he's convicted and goes up on appeal.
We'll be watching closely to day 2 here. Our crew is staying outside that courthouse as we continue to learn more about the trial. Kelly, Hyman, thank you as always for your time. Have a great weekend.
Same to you.
Let's